Hey everyone, welcome to this student testimonial with Amanda Gahan. She did the CourseCareers course and she managed to land an internship which could lead on to a full-time role. And I'm really excited that she's with me, and we're going to talk about her new role, her new life as a UIUX designer, and how she found the course, and obviously any insights she's got for you. So I'll just let you introduce yourself, Amanda. Can you tell me about a bit about yourself and about your background?
Yeah. Hey, Anthony. Nice to finally get to chat with you face to face. So my background, I did get my bachelor's degree in psychology. So I've always had an interest in the human mind and why people make the decisions that they make. And then for most of the years after college, I was in the recruiting space, most recently in the tech recruiting space. And so UIUX design was a position that I handled very often, and that's kind of how I learned about it. And
cool.
Yeah, always kind of had a proclivity for like more of the creative side too. And so I'm like, man, that sounds fun every time I'm looking at people's portfolios.
So what was it that made you go into UIUX? Was it literally just placing people? Did you find that role was the most interesting when you were placing people?
It was, yes. So the software engineering and more of the coding didn't really strike my fancy, but the UI UX design always sounded really fun. Last July, I was unfortunately part of a layoff. And so when that happened and I started looking for new roles, my husband was like, hey, is this what you want to is recruiting what you want to continue to do, or is there something else that you're interested in? Because I have a lot of freedom right now. If you want to make a career pivot, now's the time to do it. And I was like, well, gosh, now that you ask, yeah, there is kind of this other thing that I want to do. And so I looked into it on CourseCareers.
That's really cool. Because I always wonder, because I work with recruiters quite a bit. I always think they're so, because you specialize in recruiting for certain things, and you must kind of get into the topic and learn about it. And then
you have to know enough to be able to ask about it or sort of qualify a person. And so I only knew like some conversational words, but not really the meat of it.
That's cool. We can talk about recruiting later, because that's actually interesting, because you must have a really good insight about obviously the job search and landing of the roles. So I'll ask you for advice about that in a second. But what made you choose CourseCareers out of all the infinite possibilities out there?
Yeah, so a couple answers to that. Since I had kind of created some good relationships with people that I had placed in UI UX roles, I asked them, does it matter where you get any sort of certification or degree from? And they said, no, like what they're really going to look at is your portfolio. And so they're like, you don't need to go get some like really expensive boot camp certification or go to college for it. I'm like, awesome. And then I watched this popular YouTuber named Caleb Hammer, and I believe that he was part of the affiliate program for it. And since he recommended it, at the time when I was watching him, I don't know if this course was created yet when I first started watching him. And then when I was looking into UI UX, I'm like, well, shoot, I know CourseCareers is tech careers. Why don't I go and see if they have a UI UX one? Yeah. And then they did. And I think it was maybe about 3 weeks old at that point.
We're still less than a year now. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty new. And so I was like, well, gosh, that's good timing.
That's really good. A lot of our students come through Caleb, so it's nice to it's nice for me to know where people are coming from the course. But so let's just talk about the course then. So how did you find it? What was there anything that you found valuable from it? And tell me about your journey with the course.
Yeah, well, I love that you kind of just jump right into like the meat of the course. There isn't a lot of
just make it.
I guess is the way to put it. And I love that at the end you finish with a portfolio and you can just jump right into interviewing and applying for jobs. And so I thought that was really cool. Now I don't know what other courses are like, so maybe that's the same for them, but I thought this was really useful. And now being on the job, realizing how extremely relevant everything we did was to doing it on the job.
Yeah, we touched on different, like kind of high level across the whole spectrum. So I guess when you're in it, you're going to go deep in obviously some of the ones.
Yeah.
But did you enjoy? Tell me about your project that you did. So what project did you do, and did you enjoy the process of taking something from idea to obviously prototype at the end?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I mean, the one that I obviously dove the deepest into was the Farm Finder one. It was kind of the first one that we walked through. And then I also chose to do, I think, the Moda Fresco one and the Voltec one, which is great because I'm trying to put myself in a position to maybe land a role with a huge trucking manufacturer around here. So having that breadth also in your portfolio of different kinds of projects, and the role that I'm in currently actually is an e-commerce site. So having experience doing that Moda Fresco one was also fantastic. It's nice to have the breadth of it. But it was really fun, especially Farm Finder, since that was the first one that we did, starting from just like inception to the end, and it's so detailed, doing everything. And I remember just getting so excited because I obviously love the kind of the UI side a little bit more, but once you finally start like prototyping it and getting into the fun bits of it, but all of a sudden you're like trying out and you're like, oh my gosh, if I click on this button, it works. It was very exciting.
That is the fun bit, but that's literally halfway through the project, isn't it? It's like
it is, yes.
People jump into that straight away, but you need to know what to design first.
Yeah, and even recruiting for those roles, I didn't realize how much of it was before that. Because I mean, I would look at people's portfolios all day, and you kind of get a high level overview in their portfolio and the steps that they went through, but like, gosh, all the in-depth part, all the research and the information architecture and everything beforehand, there's a lot more to it than I had realized.
Yeah, it's like an iceberg, isn't it? You've got the UI.
It is, yeah.
What are you actually putting on the page? How did you use the actual community for the course at all? And how did you communicate with the students and everything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent quite a bit of time in Discord, just watching like what kind of feedback other people were getting, if they maybe already had a question that I had. And then I felt fairly comfortable sharing my own work and getting feedback. And gosh, everybody was so nice and so respectful with their feedback too, because there's, and you can get in some Discord communities too, where there is an art to feedback and giving like
you got to practice.
Yeah. But it was very helpful. And then especially getting to do the one-on-one coaching with Kevin at the end also. Yeah. And that was incredibly helpful as well. He's very knowledgeable.
So what did you do with Kevin? So this is something that we offer at the moment after you've done obviously the video course with me. It's a bit of one-on-one tutoring, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So I think it started with maybe 4 of us, and in the end it was about 2 of us. Just life happens. Yeah. But he had some really good advice. You know, I have a husband who's very much into coding, and he's like, gosh, you guys could start your own thing if you want. You don't even need to work for anyone. Start your own company. But he had us work on tangible but ambitious projects where we could maybe use that to leverage ourselves into a position. So trying to think of solutions for apps or websites or things that we use every day. And can you create a solution for something you might see as an issue and use that to leverage yourself into a role with that company?
It's a good point. It's just it's thinking outside the box.
It's smart. It's really smart.
Because if you think about it from like a recruiter's point of view, if you were hiring for, say, the trucking company, and someone had gone above and said, "Look, I've done a bit of work as an example project for the company," it stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on, what did you have at the end of the course? So you went in not knowing anything about design. What did you come out with at the end of it?
Well, I mean, I feel like the whole design process from start to finish, not only that, but a bunch of connections in Discord too, and just the community of people who might be able to help you in the future. I mean, I'm in Discord and a recruiter, so if anyone, or a former recruiter, if anyone needs help, but it's funny because you graduate and you've never done the work on the job. And so it's hard to tell, like, did I learn everything I needed to learn? I'm not sure. And then you start doing the job and you're like, yeah, I learned everything I needed to learn to do this. Yeah. And, you know, anything that you might not know, it's simple questions for people. So
what, so at the end of the course, you had a portfolio at the end of it? Is that what, so we'll talk about what did you present to this employer? How did you find the role?
I had a pretty traditional interview with them. I did choose my farm finder case study just because, so I did a little bit of my own background work to see what it is that I'll be working on, so I could pick the most relevant case study that I had to present to them. Yeah. And so what they were doing, it was sort of a e-commerce site, but for hooking up local businesses with local creators. And part of the research involved going to like farmers markets. And so that's why I ended up presenting my farm finder one, and also having to present the final as if you're presenting to a stakeholder was really useful for the interview. Now, of course, I gave a little bit more of an elevator pitch in the interview. It wasn't quite so lengthy, but having that experience with presenting a case study formally was really useful for the interview process. And so, because I don't know if typically they ask you this, but in my experience, a lot of time they'll ask you to walk them through one of your case studies.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was structuring the course. It's like, no, I hate presenting and always, but when you've kind of forced to present it kind of rolls off the tongue after a couple of times, and you don't think about it. You know, when you're talking about your case study, you're like blah blah blah, and you're more relaxed.
You get so familiar with your own work that you just go right through it.
So I mean that's all cool. That's really, really good. So what's the job that you've or the role that you've landed? Can you just tell me a bit about that and what you're doing and how the course helps?
Yeah, so I started working for a startup called Geeky Insights. They kind of create tech solutions, and so the specific product that I'm working on right now is this e-commerce site for them. Since this is like a brand new startup for them, I really am doing this from start to finish with a very small team.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in a unique position where I do have quite a bit of creative freedom right now, and there's not there's not a lot of style guidelines or anything like that yet. I'm kind of creating the style guidelines with another person, and it's been going super well. At first, I definitely had some imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And then you start doing it, and I'm like, gosh, no, this CourseCareers really prepared me for this. I feel like I really know what I'm doing. So like any questions I've had have been more meeting with the stakeholder to see what it is that they want to see in this case study. So yeah, I didn't realize how well, like I mentioned, that CourseCareers actually did prepare me to do the work.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and the goal is to give you confidence when you're in the job. So the worst thing is going into a job and hearing an acronym or something and not knowing what on earth anyone's talking about, or researching. You've only done UI design, so the goal is to make you confident, and it kind of sounds like you're doing that, which is it makes me really happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me, I wish you all the best in that. And kind of before we wrap up, is there any advice, especially specifically coming from your recruiting background and the course? So you're super unique. What advice would you give to other students doing the course?
Oh gosh, I would apply for any and all positions that even if there's like a couple qualifications that you're like, I don't meet this, do it anyway, because if that's not the role for you, they might have another one that is good for you that you just don't know about. Additionally, instead of just looking at job postings, the one thing I did to find this role was to do like Boolean searches. And so I did one it was like UI or UX, and in quotes, I'm hiring. Because people will post that because they're not able to do job postings. A lot of networking, and also specifically for an interview, during the interview process, one thing that is really important is if you don't know the answer to a question, it's okay to say that you don't know, but you need to be able to explain how you might find out the answer. That always goes a really long way with hiring managers. Yeah, if you don't know the answer to a question, to explain how you would find the answer to a question.
That's really good advice. I mean, the thing is, nobody's perfect, and it's better than making it up and being found out.
Yeah, because I mean, they're not, at some level, they are testing your knowledge a little bit, but they want to know that you're a solution-oriented person, and that goes a long way.
That's absolutely brilliant. Any last questions for me, or anything you want to mention?
No. Thank you for meeting with me. It's nice to meet you face to face.
It's a pleasure to meet anyone who's doing the course. But for me, thank you very much.